Fire is a useful analogy for any technology. And if we look at Silicon Valley and their motto of moving fast and breaking things, what this essentially means is that you're constantly starting fires and then being constantly in a state of firefighting. The better alternative would be to explore safe firekeeping practices. When you start a fire outside in nature, when you go camping or even in your backyard, you don't just take matches and start a fire. I mean, you can, but you can get in trouble pretty easily. If you want to be smart about it, and if you want to build a fire that will both be strong enough to do your cooking without starting a forest wildfire, you have to choose a good location for it. You have to observe the elements around you, know which way the wind is blowing, have a bucket of water ready nearby to smolder the fire when you're done, clean up after yourself, and all of these things. If we transfer that back to the analogy of technology as fire, that is what actually applying ethics and ethical principles in practice means. So it's not about starting fires and firefighting as Silicon Valley usually does, but it's about becoming responsible fire keepers. Being mindful and responsible about how we start the fire, maintaining the fire by balancing the fire with other elements of air, earth, water, because we are part of nature and we are not just fire and drive to release new products. We can use collaboration to improve the airflow to build windbreakers so we avoid strong winds. We can engage in mindfulness and reflection, so that is our water that we can pour over the fire if it gets out of control or if it spreads to another part of the clearing that maybe has some dry leaves or something. So all of these elements we can balance with fire. And I'm not saying fire per se is bad. Fire is super exciting, super useful. You can cook some s'mores on it or whatever. So it's not about saying no to fire and not ever using fire again. That would be essentially, unplugging, going off the grid, live in the woods. No technology, though without fire, I would like to see it try survive. It's about finding the balance with other elements. So not being driven only by fire, or even if you are driven by fire, recognize that you are being driven by fire and still be mindful of the fact that eventually you are going to need some water to prevent the fire from spreading, and so on. Let me know if you have any comments or thoughts about this analogy, and I'll probably explain this way of thinking that we call elemental ethics a bit more in the next videos.